Sziasztok! Hi everyone, I'm Sándor, welcome to another Hungarian lesson. Did you know that there are countless ways to say to die in Hungarian? From very respectful expressions to the rudest slangs and everything in between. So let's talk about this today. First off, let's see how to say death and to die in Hungarian. Death in Hungarian is halál. Halál. And to die, officially, is meghalni. Meghalni. So when someone dies, we say meghalt. Meghalt. He or she died. I wouldn't say that this is the most respectful way to say that someone died, but it's the most common. You can use this safely, it's not rude at all, people say this all the time. From now on, let's start with the most respectful synonyms and let's end with the rudest or funniest ones. Don't get me wrong, death is not funny, but some of these expressions might be. Elhunyni. Elhunyni. This is the Hungarian equivalent of to pass away. It sounds very respectful, it also sounds softer than meghalni. And elhunyt means he or she passed away. Elhunyt. Elhalálozni. Elhalálozni. It literally means to death away. This also means to pass away, but this sounds a lot drier than elhunyni. It doesn't have that emotional depth to it. It sounds more official, you know what I mean? Elhalálozott. Elhalálozott. He or she passed away. Életet veszteni. Életet veszteni. It means to lose life. In other words, to die. You can hear this in the news, for example, when someone dies in a car accident or something. They would say, életét vesztette. Életét vesztette. He or she lost his or her life. This also sounds a bit official. We don't really say this in everyday speech. This is an expression the media uses quite often. Örök nyugovóra térni. Örök nyugovóra térni. It roughly means something like to reach eternal rest. It's an old expression. Maybe a priest would say this at a funeral, and it's also used in literature. It sounds quite poetic. Örök nyugovóra tért. Örök nyugovóra tért. He or she reached eternal rest. So he or she died. Jobb létre szenderülni. Jobb létre szenderülni. This is quite difficult to translate literally. Jobb lét basically means better existence. And szenderülni is an old way of saying to slowly fall asleep. So jobb létre szenderülni roughly means something like to slowly fall asleep for a better existence. But it just means to die. This is rarely used anymore, this is also kind of poetic. Jobb létre szenderült. Jobb létre szenderült. He or she died. Elpusztulni. Elpusztulni. This one also means to die. We usually use this to refer to the death of an animal. So when your pet dies, most likely you would say elpusztult. Elpusztult. It died. It sounds respectful when it's used for an animal. I wouldn't recommend it using for people. Elhullni. Elhullni. Literally it means something like to fall away. It's not really in use, and I've only heard this being used for plants and animals. For example, elhullott állatok. Elhullott állatok. Dead animals. It doesn't sound rude or anything, it's just not really in use. Az örök vadászmezőkre távozni. Az örök vadászmezőkre távozni. It means to leave for the eternal hunting grounds. In other words, to die. I'm pretty sure this comes from novels where there were Native American characters. Az örök vadászmezőkre távozott. Az örök vadászmezőkre távozott. He or she left for the eternal hunting grounds. You'll never hear this in everyday speech, but maybe you can find this in some novels or poems. Kilehelni a lelket. Kilehelni a lelket. To exhale the soul. Again, this is mostly found in literature, although I heard some people say this too. Kilehelte a lelkét. Kilehelte a lelkét. He or she exhaled his or her soul. Eltávozni az élők sorából. Eltávozni az élők sorából. It literally means to leave away from the line of the living. So, to leave the line of the living. Again, sounds kind of poetic, it's pretty respectful, but most likely you'll find this in literature or in the media. Eltávozott az élők sorából. Eltávozott az élők sorából. He or she left the line of the living. So, he or she died. Megboldogulni. Megboldogulni. It basically means to get happy. How did this become a way to say to die? I don't know. Usually we use this for our family members who are no longer with us, like megboldogult nagymamám. Megboldogult nagymamám. It means my dead grandma, but it sounds very respectful. I don't think the younger generation uses this anymore. It's quite an old expression. Kimúlni. Kimúlni. It's kind of a slang. It means to die, but people don't really use this. Kimúlt. Kimúlt. He, she, or it died. I wouldn't recommend using this for people. It's a rare expression anyway. Örök nyugalomra lelni. Örök nyugalomra lelni. To find eternal rest. Again, very poetic and respectful, but it's really not in use. Örök nyugalomra lelt. Örök nyugalomra lelt. He or she found eternal rest. You think we're done? Not even close. Here comes the slang. Kipurcanni. Kipurcanni. Slang term, it means to die. It's kind of rude. Don't use it for people unless you didn't really like that person. It's not super rude. It has a funny undertone to it, but still, be careful with it. Kipurcant. Kipurcant. He, she, or it died. Elpatkolni. Elpatkolni. Another slang meaning to die. Everything I said about kipurcanni is true for this one too. Maybe this one sounds a bit more rude than kipurcanni. It definitely doesn't have that funny undertone to it, and it's quite disrespectful. Elpatkolt. Elpatkolt. He, she, or it died. It's in use. You might come across this, but I don't recommend using it. Beadni a kulcsot. Beadni a kulcsot. Literally, to hand in the key. In other words, to die. It's not super disrespectful, but definitely not respectful either. Beadta a kulcsot. Beadta a kulcsot. He or she handed in the key. So, died. Megmurdelni. Megmurdelni. Slang term, it means to die. It sounds very cold and disrespectful. Megmurdelt. Megmurdelt. He, she, or it died. I really wouldn't use this for people unless the person who died was your lethal enemy or something. This is rude. Fűbe harapni. Fűbe harapni. Literally, to bite into grass. This is the Hungarian equivalent of to bite the dust. Fűbe harapott. Fűbe harapott. He or she bit the dust. Feldobni a talpat. Feldobni a talpat. To throw the sole up. Sole as in the sole of your foot. Talp means sole. This is actually quite widely used even to this day. It can sound funny or rude depending on how you say it and the context you're using it. Feldobta a talpát. Feldobta a talpát. He or she threw his or her soul up. So, died. Feldobni a pacskert. Feldobni a pacskert. It means the same thing, except pacsker is an old word meaning something like flip-flops. Feldobta a pacskert. Feldobta a pacskert. He or she threw the flip-flops up. So, died. Feldobni a bakancsot. Feldobni a bakancsot. Same thing as before, except bakancs means boot. You know, like those steel-toe boots, not the kind of boots you would wear in winter. Soldier boots, working boots, that kind of boots. Feldobta a bakancsot. Feldobta a bakancsot. He or she threw the boots up. Kinyiffanni. Kinyiffanni. Again, slang term, quite disrespectful. Kinyiffant. Kinyiffant. He, she, or it died. It is in use, but again, I wouldn't recommend using it. Alulról szagolni az ibolyát. Alulról szagolni az ibolyát. To smell the violet from below. You know, when you're buried, violets might grow in your grave, and if you can still smell, you'll definitely smell the violets from below. This is kind of funny, but also not very respectful. Alulról szagolja az ibolyát. Alulról szagolja az ibolyát. He or she is smelling the violet from below. So he or she is dead. And finally, megdögleni. Megdögleni. Again, slang term, it means to die. This is used pretty often. If it's used for animals, then usually it's okay. But you wouldn't use it for a pet that you loved. At least I wouldn't. But in general, it's okay to use it for animals. But when it comes to people, it sounds very, very disrespectful. If you want to disrespect a dead person by saying he or she died, then use this word. But please don't. Megdöglött. Megdöglött. He, she, or it died. Don't say this for people, okay? You can use it for dead animals, but not for people. Super rude. Alright, I think we're done. You know, the thing is that this might not even be a complete list. I'm sure there are more expressions, so if you know some, leave them in the comments. It's pretty crazy, right? Does your language do the same? Do you also have these many synonyms for to die? Let me know. Thank you for studying with me today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe. And if you feel like supporting the channel even more, my PayPal information is in the description. See you in the next lesson. Sziasztok! A viszontlátásra!